Hello, long time no speak, everybody. I'm going to do a video today that was requested, and thank you for the request, by the way, as I was running short of ideas of what to do within videos and stuff like that. And the subject is cursing and hexing. And so before I begin, and I want to make this clear, and before you watch this video, I'd appreciate if you could actually listen to what I'm about to say before I start this. Cursing is not a thing that is just done willy-nilly. It's not a thing that is just sent out. It's not a laugh. It's nothing to be laughed at. It's not a joke. It's not a laugh. It's serious stuff. When you throw a curse at somebody, you throw intent out to somebody to physically hurt them or spiritually hurt them or emotionally hurt them. You are causing that person pain. So the question here is morely a case of personal responsibility. Am I prepared to watch that person suffer? Am I prepared to possibly cause a fatality to a person? Am I prepared to seriously do harm to that person? And one of witchcraft, and it's weird why I haven't done this video, and I'm really sorry, by the way, if you're watching that I haven't done this video revision and stuff like that. But cursing is a massive part of witchcraft, and witchcraft was seen as the Maleficia of the sort of magical practice world. You know, witchcraft was seen as a malefic thing. In certain periods of history, witchcraft would be the diabolical, malevolent practice that would occur. And so I just want to say that it is important that you know personal responsibility and that you are prepared to watch that other person suffer and prepared to cause that person suffering. It's not, oh, this bitch just bumped into me on the street, I'm going to hex her till next year. It's not that at all. It's, you know, I can't not go dark with it because it is a dark subject. This person has been molesting children. This person has raped me. This person has murdered my friend. And it is along those lines. It's very, very serious stuff. This person has royally screwed me over, and now I am broke. I have no money. I have nothing, and I am on the verge. You know, it's very dark, serious stuff. And in effect, you are invoking the powers of darkness, to quote Buffy, I know, but you are invoking the powers of darkness to cause damage, to cause harm to another human being. Or it can be animals as well, historically. So it's really, really intense. Anyway, so cursing would be known, and remaining true to my Essex roots, by the East Anglian term of Tudding. Now, Tudding would go to the idea of the Tudding. It was believed that the toad was a malefic creature of witchcraft, of witchery, of sorcery. And so it would be known that if a toad was at the door of somebody, then death would be the omen to their place, to their house, to their threshold. Now, in East Anglia, a way in which a witch used to curse somebody was they used to bang an iron nail into their door and hang a toad bone upon their threshold to show that person that they had been tudded, they had been overlooked. And so the evil eye plays a massive part in it, and the evil eye was believed that certain people would possess this ability to throw forth the evil eye, to project the evil eye upon somebody, and there are loads of charms to actually counteract the evil eye and actually protect one from the evil eye. And the evil eye would be, basically an ability somebody would have. Now, a way in which a quick curse is cast is if the sign of the horns is made and the person has to squint the right eye, look through their left eye, and speak Malefica at somebody and utter curses, utter words of injury, utter words of bad health to that person. So that could be done on a photograph of somebody, or that could be done on somebody point of view vision, and that's what that's morally designed to be. And it was also believed that if you stood on the left leg and done that and lifted the right leg up, it was all the left side. The left side being malefic side, being the negative side, the left hand path, the devil's way. That's how it would be seen. So ways in which curses are normally done is that the witch would find something from the victim, something from the person. So that would be hair. It could be nails, it could be semen, it could be vaginal fluid, it could be menstrual blood, it could be urine, it could be excrement, it could be pubic hair, but it could also be soot. And there are old tales of witches that flew kites over a victim's chimney way back when everybody had a fireplace, and they would collect the soot on the kite. Sounds mental, and then use the soot in their curses. It's not just that as well. It would also be footprints. There are a lot of beliefs that foot track magic and footprint magic does remains solely based in hoodoo. It's not just hoodoo. It's also traditional European witchcraft. In particular, in Cornwall, people would lift people's footprints out from the ground, and that's in one of Gemma Gary's books. Very interesting. Or if they had the footprint, you could then take perhaps some of the earth from the footprint. And it would also, I mean, a modern spin on things as well. If you can't get hold of someone's footprint, if you can't get hold of somebody's soot from their fireplace, then perhaps taking some dirt from their front garden and their back garden, and then charging that with a negative intent. Perhaps adding some objects and herbs and plants of maleficia, of negativity, and then charging that and then sprinkling that at a person's threshold so that we'll constantly cross that. And once again, it's a belief that, you know, things around the threshold in folk magic, general folk magic, not just hoodoo, not just different other traditions, but European witchcraft, like witch bottles that were buried underneath someone's door so that person would pass through and that their energy would become part of that bottle, so that bottle would then become a decoy. Anyway, speaking of witch bottles, historically, witch bottles were used to actually become a decoy, so that the witch would send evil to that person. However, that person's energy, that person's essence would be in the witch bottle, thus transferring the curse to the bottle. However, a witch bottle can also be used for many other things, and I've seen it done. A witch bottle cannot just be used for protection or counter magic. A witch bottle can be used for anything. I've used a witch bottle for attracting a new flatmate. I've used a witch bottle for attracting money. So it's, you know, and it's about adding stuff into that. So it would be stuff of the victim. It would be perhaps anything that would be horrible. For instance, owls. Owls are seen as, and herons are seen as birds of death and birds of decay and birds of cursing. And also black hen feathers. Not just that, you have the various herbs that goes with it as well, that goes with cursing. So in a lot of traditional witchcraft, the herbs for cursing would be herbs that would physically do somebody harm. So for instance, it would be the typical witches' herbs: hemlock, hemlaw, henbane, aconite, and mandrake. Also, you've got belladonna as well. So it would be those herbs that would also be used for harming. If you are going to use these herbs, please be careful, because these herbs are highly, highly, highly poisonous. They do kill, and they have killed in the past, so be very careful, handle with care. Also, various waters as well, and various washes and mixes would be used. So for instance, one type of water that's used quite a lot in traditional witchcraft is bog water from a bog, because the water from the bog was a place where sacrifices were made, and a bog is seen as the stench of the earth. It stinks. If you ever go to a bog, it stinks. A lot of these bogs stinks. Be very careful as well, because bogs, especially peat bogs, tend to natural quicksand, so quite dangerous places. So they're very perilous, very very damaging places. So it's in a sense it's carrying forth that essence from that place and using it within your craft. Also, vinegar. Vinegar would be used in various things. Vinegar can be used to sour things, to make things bitter, to make things quite nasty and spiteful. And which is my next subject here I'm going to go into, which is dolls. Dolls can be used in traditional witchcraft, and once again, the belief in dolls is that that doll would have an attachment of the person who the witch was wishing to be harmed. So, for instance, that doll could be mixed in with the soot from the person's chimney, the earth. It could have the hens from the farm. It could have the stuff from the pigsty if it was a farmer, if it was an agricultural person in which the witch wanted to do harm to. And historically it was a lot of times, but we're not all farmers now. It would be the hair from somebody, it would be their nails, it could be a picture as well. However, if you have something that is a physical part of somebody, even a clipping from their clothes, you can use that. And this would be included in the doll. So typically, dolls would strand off with two things. With harming, dolls will be materials that are easily disintegrated, that are easily destroyed, that are easily worn, because you're not wanting to make this person last. It's the idea that you are wanting to do damage, so you're going to use a material that is easily damaging. The bread puppet, the bread magisteli, Dorset Wildlife Rescue, type them in. They do a fantastic channel. The Cauldron of the Autocaliac, I think the coven's called. And they do a video on the bread puppet, the bread magisteli. Bread magic is very, very old. It's very ancient. It's very powerful because you've got all four elements within it. You've got the earth, you've got the mix, the bread mix, you've got the water, the blood, you've got the water that goes into it. You've got the fire, the furnace or the oven that heats it, and you've got the air, the dough that rises. So it's all four elements incorporated into that. And vinegar would also be added into the doll mix, among many other various poisonous herbs such as henbane, aconite, mandrake, loads of bog water as well, loads of different stuff. If you watch the video, you'll see it's very, very cool, very interesting. Okay, clay. Clay would also be used as well because clay is also something that can be very easily destroyed. In the case of the Pendle witches, there are a lot of claims that a clay picture, which was a clay figure, was made, and the witch would perhaps insert needles into that or pins into that, and then would burn that part of the doll to inflict damage upon the actual part of the person, and so that could be used. Another thing as well, the wax figure could also be used. However, I've only really seen this I've seen it in quite a few folkloric stuff, but I have also read this in Gemma Gary's. I believe this was a counter magic that would counteract the power of a witch, and so the wax doll of the witch would be made and would be left to hang by the fireplace. And so as the wax melted, it would disintegrate the power and destroy the witch. And there's no reason why somebody couldn't do that for anybody they wanted to harm. So another thing that could be used, very, very ancient here, is that it's traditionally a horse's head would be used to represent the nightmare, to represent the terror aspect of an ancient goddess, and it would be set upon a distaff or a stang or a staff, and it would face the way of the enemy. And as it faced the way of the enemy, the practitioner would then utter curses, conjurations, and utter maleficia, and utter their intent to the person so that it transfers to that person. That would be used. In terms of sticks, the feared blasting rod, the blackthorn blasting rod would be used to blast and smite somebody, and not just blackthorn as well. particularly in the Scottish tradition and the Scottish Highlands, they tend to use yew, as yew is the wood of death. And blackthorn, it was said that one of the reasons why it is a feared and dreaded plant, it was said by British folklore that blackthorn was the crown of thorns that was placed around Jesus Christ's head on the crucifixion, and so it was always deemed a negative thing. Another plant as well is valerian, and again it's said that valerian grew at the foot of the crucifixion in which Jesus was crucified, and it was the only plant. And valerian is a cursing plant, and valerian root, if you've ever smelt it, stinks. They actually call it graveyard dust because it stinks. It smells like sweaty socks and feet. It's disgusting. However, it's great for sleep, helping someone sleep. But we're not onto that. We're onto juicy black magic. Um, so, last but not least, one of the other things that would be used in particular, and what does tie into curses quite a lot, and by tie I really do mean tie, is the witch's ladder. And the witch's ladder would be, typically, it was originally found in Somerset, in Wellington, in a house that was boarded up, and in a room was found this contraption called the witch's ladder. And there was also 13 brooms found, or what they thought was brooms because they were so disintegrated. Now, nobody actually knows whether or not the witch's ladder was used for witchcraft. There isn't any evidence to say it was. However, I have used the witch's ladder as a tool, and I find it very, very, very powerful. And so a witch's ladder is a string. It's a string, it's a cord, and tied within it are traditionally black hen hairs, and 13 knots. And if you're wanting to include an enemy within it, you could perhaps tie an enemy's hair into the witch's ladder. And so there is an old folk charm, and I don't actually know where this is from, but I have heard this a couple of times. I don't know whether or not this is, I don't actually know if this is an old folklore, or if it was a modern thing that was made up. But the folk charm is that it would have 13 black hen feathers tied within it, and it would be tied to a church bell, so that every time the church bell rang, a feather would fall out, thus disintegrating that person's life and essence. And witches' ladders were said to be cured by giving it a full baptism, and it would be thrown into a running stream to cure it. There are other ways. A witch's ladder would also be placed underneath somebody's bed. So having a witch's ladder, having a part of somebody's personal items, tying that in, braiding it in. I actually get 3 strings and plait mine. I plait it into like a braid, a long braid, and then I actually knot it, and as I knot it I speak my intention. Each knot, blah blah blah, bang. And it's a thing that you have to be focused on, completely focused on. And once again, in Gemma Gary's book, The Black Toad, she does speak about the witch's ladder being used, and has a very interesting variation on it, which I have used, which has been very, very successful. Every time I've used a witch's ladder, it's a thing that's never failed. So there are no ties to say whether or not it is actually witchcraft. Definitely witchcraft, but it is highly linked to witchcraft and is known throughout folklore as witchcraft. However, there is no physical evidence, there is no proper evidence to say that it is fully. But I do know a lot of witches that use them. They work, they're very, very powerful, not just used for malefic intent as well. Anyway, one last thing, and it was something that one of my good friends told me. And it was a story that he had read, that a woman had got a mirror and forced a man to look at, like a handheld mirror, and forced a man to look at, closed the mirror, and stamped it with her left foot, and then said to him, "Now pick up the pieces of your life that's left behind. No, now I leave you to pick up the pieces of your life." And that is a way to curse somebody as well. So yeah, it's a long video, but witchcraft is full of cursing, and it's a huge part. It's a massive part of witchcraft. So yeah, there you are. Cursing or the art of tudding.